All right, YouTube. So I'm gonna review Lil Wayne's The Carter album or The Carter 5. So I reviewed a handful of these Carter albums, but I wanted to do The Carter 5 just because I haven't reviewed a double album in a while, and I mean Lil Wayne has been dropping these now. We've got The Carter 5, which was a double album, Dedication 6, which was a double mixtape, and then The Funeral, which was a double album. So I've been digesting it, but part of the reason why I haven't jumped on these Lil Wayne projects like I used to is because there's just not enough of the production that I like on some of these. But to have some counter logic to that, I mean, Dedication 6 actually is excellent. I listen to that constantly, and I've kind of cherry picked through The Funeral, but this one, The Carter 5, I just kind of it came out in 2018. I listened to like Mona Lisa and then like one other song, and then I just didn't listen to it. And I kept waiting for Lil Wayne to put out like singles to see, okay, what's going to be like the Lil Wayne songs that are going to be like A Millie and Get Money off the Carter 3, Fireman, Stunting Like My Daddy, 6 foot, 7 foot, and just John and some of those songs that to where you're gonna hear Lil Wayne on with radio numbers like you used to, and that's what he did throughout most of the Carters. He took care of that, but he didn't do that this time. And then on top of that, the Carter 5 took 7 years from the Carter 4 to come out. I remember back in 2014 when he was supposed to drop this album, it had the same album cover with his mother there, that it was going to come out in 2014, and Lil Wayne said it was going to be a double album back then. And he actually put out the song Believe Me with Drake, and I wish that song would have been on here, but uh, after that, he dropped like two other songs in 2014, and then it was supposed to come out in December, and it didn't. He put out Sorry for the Wait, and then we had the bunches of stuff that he did, mixtapes, streaming albums, and things of the like. But it's really kind of curious as to why Birdman just did not put this out for fear of losing money. I don't know how many millions he would have lost by taking the chance back in 2014. I mean, you think, if things happen for a reason, but I wouldn't have, I probably would have, you just get the idea. Had this album come out 5 years ago, Lil Wayne probably would have. It might have sold more, but it may not have had like the complete kind of feeling that it seems to have this time, which is kind of the situation. Which, if you can't tell, Lil Wayne kind of passed the torch almost to Drake, but obviously his popularity is still not reaching a peak yet. I mean, Lil Wayne's lyricism has not dulled, but in terms of the quality of like albums, this is not the best Carter project, even if it does have more songs. I feel like I like the Carter 1 more, and I like the commercial aspect of the Carter 3 more, but I think I might like it more than the Carter 2 and definitely the Carter 4. So it's just right in the middle. And I remember originally there was going to be a Carter 6. I remember picking up a double XL where Mac Main said that there was going to be a Carter 6 that would come out. But yeah, I mean, it's a heavy project. I mean, that's the thing. I know Lil Wayne kind of was thinking, for this to have been a series that was 14 years that it took for him to complete it, kind of has a more different aspect just to kind of talk about. So yeah, obviously since June of 2004 and then probably late 2003 when he was working on this, it's obvious that it had to have some sort of complete, closure type feeling to it. But, the concept of Lil Wayne being in a double album, normally that would be like bananas. But the problem with it is, for some reason, it isn't. I mean, it's not so much the lyrics that's the problem. This is sometimes the song structure, sometimes the production, sometimes a lack of like guests that would enhance this project more. I mean, Lil Wayne chose ones. It's not like these guests don't do well, but you would think, some of the people like we might expect like Eminem on here, and obviously to have like Juvenile. I mean, Manny Fresh does show up, but to think the ones who have like the utmost chemistry with Lil Wayne, he wasn't really trying to go for that kind of placement there. But his daughter is on here, and one of his baby mothers is on here, and Nicki Minaj. So there's folks like that. It just feels like it was more cohesive just with his. I think he was being selective this time. But yeah, I'm just trying to think of what else kind of goes along with that. But just we'll get to some more of the complaints of this project as we go through it. But I'm going to talk about the promotion of this project. So really, there's only one true single, and I guess like two promotional songs. I mean, just about every song off this album charted on the Billboard Hot 100 just because of how many fans Lil Wayne has and just the sheer anticipation for it. And so, like, Mona Lisa with Kendrick Lamar hit number 2 on the Billboard 100. Wasn't released as a single. I'm not sure if it had a music video, but it was pretty massive back in late 2018. And it was the same thing with Don't Cry with XXX Temptation. So that's a fantastic song. I mean, both of those songs that charted real hard are fantastic, but we'll get to that. So, Uproar, kind of a underwhelming single just because the production does not try to be. It's festive, but it's just it feels more like some sort of sports slash boxing song. That's kind of what I got from the promotion. Just kind of like you're just out and about, and which I like that template from Lil Wayne, but just for that to be the standalone kind of promotion for the project, especially when it's a double album, was just surprising. But it is a good song, so I did like. I mean, it's just atypical for Lil Wayne as far as a single, especially with what he did with like I'm Not a Human Being 2, and then the Carter 4 and stuff, the previous. So it's been since 2013 since Lil Wayne's really been on the radio. But yeah, so this standalone, that's about as far as the promotion went. And but Don't Cry, that's kind of gloomy and just ghoulish kind of song. XXX Temptation's Wail on the hook, if he would have been alive, it would have been somewhat spooky. But this is the fact that he's dead. It really feels like a real creepy kind of song just because of that. I mean, it's kind of intended that way. It's kind of like how Eminem messed with Juice World, and he got one of his features just before he died. So it kind of makes it surreal. Yeah, so it's a good song. And then Mona Lisa is another creepy song, but it just kind of talks about uh, someone who gets in a relationship, but they're also with Lil Wayne, and they kind of the woman winds up siding with Lil Wayne, but it kind of provides a danger. So it's to think that there's women who would, even if you're dating them, it's like, well, if Lil Wayne pops up, you're fucked. So that kind, you're fine as long as Lil Wayne's not here, basically. But that's just kind of the situation. So, um, but that's about. There are tons of other songs that kind of charted rather well, but those are some of the ones. So I guess just to talk about the songs that I enjoyed. Um, so out of 23 songs, I wound up liking 9, which is why I said it was kind of underwhelming, but we'll talk about that. So the 9 songs I recommend to you would be Let It Fly, Uproar, Mona Lisa, Problems, Used to, Open Safe, Start This Shit Off Right, and Don't Cry, and Can't Be Broken. Now, someone I feel like can definitely do double albums is Tupac. I was thinking about reviewing Scorpion by Drake, but it seemed like the reception wasn't that high for that project. But Lil Wayne is kind of like the wild card when it comes to double albums because obviously he has the lyricism, but it was really just the selection of songs that he chose that kind of made this quality go down. And for some reason, it was kind of, it's like, okay, we want it to be a complete double album, not just a complete album, but a complete double album. So, you've got songs like Dedicate and I Love You, Dwayne, and Dope New Gospel and Let It All Work Out, and songs like that that are, this those hardly feel like rap songs just because of the, I mean, it's uplifting, but it's also like just it feels real homebound. It doesn't feel like no homies, no hoochies, no anything like that, no type of it just feels like, simple home and garden living, except the Lil Wayne version of that. So that's kind of the situation. Is some of these, it was surprising that angle from him just to kind of see some of that. Unfortunately, Tupac is better at doing it, but it does. If you're looking for something that kind of moves you, you can probably expect that from that. But then there were a handful of songs on here that just didn't have good production either. Like I did like the DJ Mustard song "Open Safe." That's like regular Lil Wayne that you hear on the mixtapes, and it's the same thing with "Used to." Start This Shit Off Right is just that got ripped right out of the Carter One. That felt like that. I mean, Manny Fresh produced that one. That felt like that could have been a Carter One song, and just some of those. But I mean, just in terms, I mean, the things that I was looking for from Lil Wayne in terms of why I would think it would do better would be simply trying to say, when Tupac did All Eyes on Me, a song like Picture Me Rollin', which was basically, him saying fuck the jail system for the way that they treated him. It wasn't necessarily a club song, but, it still had that kind of star power of it. And it was the same thing, Ambitions as a Rida, that wasn't a club song. And I Ain't Mad at You, that was just talking about homies that he grew apart from. So I don't know, I mean Lil Wayne can do like the club songs and the up tempo songs and that sort of stuff, but just in terms of switching up the template to where his lyrics have to come up with something more crafty and more uh, thought provoking, it doesn't quite hit the nail on the head as much. So I can't figure out as to why that is. And also, he tries to be soulful on here. There's some samples like on a couple of these, but didn't quite do it as well. I mean, Rick Ross can do soulful music pretty well, but there weren't really smoking songs on this, I noticed. I mean, Lil Wayne lights up songs, you'll hear the lighter and stuff on those songs, but I didn't really feel like any of these were smoking songs, considering, Lil Wayne wasn't talking about codeine, or if he was, he didn't have specific songs designated to it, like I Feel Like Dying and Kush and things like that. He didn't do it. Wasn't any drug songs, really. I remember him saying in an interview that someone said, like, keep doing the drug songs, but there's really none of that. I mean, he kind of has, like, this is like almost, it's not healthy Lil Wayne, but it's just, fit Lil Wayne. So that's kind of the thing. So, I would think I know I would have appreciated at least a smoking song or something like that, and he did that on the Carter 3 up to, but just in terms of some of that, this is, I know Lil Wayne can do a double album. This is the fact that the songs that he chose to kind of take the place of something that would have been more interesting just were not there. So that's the thing. If we would have taken these topics, toned down some of the closure esque songs and put something in there that just, is like, hey, that's a damn good topic. And like, I feel like a song like Can't Be Broken, that was a good one, but I don't know. I did not listen to this whole album entirely. Like, I didn't listen beginning to end of this project just to listen to every last lyric to be able to say, but some of these I was, I knew I probably wasn't going to listen to these when I eventually buy this album. So it's not as beefed up as like a double album. Like I remember Bone Thugs Art of War. I listened to that. I had a bunch of songs off that I continued to enjoy, but um, I mean, it's an above average double album, but if you would say, well, if it would have been a single album, would have been good, probably. But there's just songs that are just plain uninteresting. It's kind of the thing. And I know for some of that, this is because half you'd say it just has to do with it trying to be complete, trying to have something for a lot of people, like having like his baby mother on there, and Nicki Minaj on there, and Manny Fresh on there, and things like that. But I guess I'm kind of starting to lose sight of what I'm trying to talk about. Um, yeah, I mean it. So I don't know. You get the idea. It just happens to be that uh, it's good, but it's not great, and that's kind of the thing. And I can't, obviously, I know Lil Wayne hasn't fallen off, so I just don't know why we couldn't have gotten, more star power. And these just needed to pack more punch. That is kind of the situation. But I'm gonna give this double album, because I like 9 out of 23. I'm just gonna give it a 4.5 out of 10, because for what it was, it did do well, and it would probably get like a 7.5 or something like that if it was a regular album, just a single album. But there are too many songs that just didn't either fit my, you know, they didn't fit, they, they didn't catch my interest, or I just wasn't in agreement with what some of these topics happen to be on. So it's kind of, you would think that my complaints about this would be opinionated, but I mean, you just have to look as far as trying to say, when you look at double albums and you say, wow, I like 16 or 18 songs out of this, but how many of these are you listening to with like five or six of your friends, and you're riding out to these, and you're going out to bars and clubs to these, and even in some cases, if you're just listening to this with your family, I mean, you would kind of think, okay, what are the songs that just indicate recreation? And that it just seems like that just didn't quite hit the mark. So, but then the social score gets like a 2 out of 10. I mean, that really didn't do that well, just because Uproar was the only single. I mean, it is Lil Wayne, so it's like he's a household name and stuff, but I mean, you're always going to get different songs when it comes to what people are going to like. So some people may just pop up and you may hear Mona Lisa, but then you might also hear Dark Side of the Moon. I mean, that's kind of how Lil Wayne is. It's never like these are like the three songs that everyone listens to, which can be fun, but if you don't like the songs, it can also not be fun. So that's kind of how that goes. But yeah, so I just would have to say, I mean, I'm glad that this project came out. I mean, I don't want to say if I'd prefer the 2014 version, but I'm glad that it came out, and I'm glad that it wasn't a dud. But I mean, I know Lil Wayne can actually do a double album. That's the thing. And this is the topics that we were provided. It's kind of like when you talk with someone and they're bringing up things, they're paying attention to the wrong part of the story. So that's just kind of the situation. Lil Wayne, I mean, when he was 35 when he did this, that was not the age to be kind of in grandpa mode. So yeah, but yeah, 4.5 out of 10.